Hello friends, in this session today, let's understand about the concept of SSAS tabular mode DAX queries. Let's get started. Data analysis expressions DAX have two different implementations. One is DAX expressions for cube design, calculations and security, and other one DAX queries mainly for cube reporting activities. Every DAX query starts with a keyword evaluate. Remember, generally MDX query starts with keyword select. Here DAX starts with evaluate. And there is no need to use axis numbers like 0 or for columns or 1 for rows. Not required. No need to use axis numbers. For reporting data from tabular mode cube. And there can be only one cube, one virtual cube for a given tabular mode database. Generally in multidimensional database, a single database can contain multiple cubes and we can control the cube location also. Whereas in tabular mode, those cubes are virtual, not physical. A dimension or hierarchy or attribute can be repeated in both x-axis as well as in conditions. Yes, if you go for MDX, multi-dimensional mode, if you are using a hierarchy or an attribute in one of the axes, either columns or rows, we cannot use that attribute or hierarchy in the where conditions. Whereas in DAX, it can be repeated. The hierarchy or attribute used in axis, output axis we call, it can be there in the conditions also. Let's take examples now. Representation. Yes, we are going to learn the queries, DAX queries. We need to bear in mind, we need to remember three things: single quotes to represent tables or entities, double quotes to represent aliases for aggregated measures, or square bracket to represent attributes or columns. So single quotes to represent tables, double quotes represent aliases, square bracket to represent attributes or columns. Remember, unlike multi-dimensional mode, in tabular mode we use in-memory VertiPack database for processing the queries. Here it is. Let's understand carefully how to work with DAX operations. We'll take this line separately. For Power BI integrations with SSAS separately, separate chapter. Let's understand how to work with DAX queries. Come on, what we do here? Step number 1. Launch SSDT and design tabular mode OLAP database and deploy. Step number 2. Launch SSMS. Connect to SSAS server, the tabular mode server. Verify the deployed database. Right-click database and new query and DAX. This is the concept. Yes, we have been learning how to work with the tabular mode cube design activity so far. Now let's see how to work with the querying activities. Okay, a simple straightforward process. Remember, every query will start with evaluate keyword, this one. Let's start. New query DAX and write the below given DAX queries. Highlight each query and execute. Let's understand carefully how to do that. Here we go. For example, let's take one OLAP database from the earlier design concepts. Right click, new query and DAX. See here. Right click, new query DAX, like this. Once you right click new query and DAX, next step, let's see. For example, let's take query number 1. How to report our requirement, how to report sales amount. We say evaluate. Okay, remember there is something called evaluate. Summarize columns. See here, summarize columns, and we need to specify alias and the column name. For example, total sales, comma, sales data of sale amount. This one, sum of sale amount. Sales data and sum of sale amount, like this. Observe carefully. Sales data, then sum of sale amount. Okay, next. With this information, for example, you will see like this. Second requirement. Okay, second requirement, let's see. Let's put this way otherwise. This one. Second requirement, how to report sale amount and tax amount. So evaluate, summarize columns of, for example, this is the alias and sales data, table name, square bracket, column name, or directly we can mention the column name. And sum of tax amount, and here it is. I'll say for now alias in this way. Evaluate, summarize columns like this. This way, let's have other one. For example, you would like to have year-wise sales and tax. Your requirement is to report year-wise sales amount and tax amount. A, B format, time data of calendar year. This one, left side, time data. Here we don't see further classification of columns. So we need to write the queries manually. Time data of calendar year, sum of sales and tax like this. So year wise sales and tax. We can alias this one, time data year. For example, query number 4, I'll say calendar year. Okay, calendar year, comma. See there, everywhere you have comma separated. Aggregate, comma, source. Same way, aggregate, comma, source, like this. Okay, next. With this information, for example, you don't want this year values. Say you wanted to have year values plus additionally quarter values also. Time data of calendar quarter like this. So year wise, quarter wise, sales and tax like this. Of course, there should be a comma here. Year wise, quarter wise, sales and tax in this way. So this is how we go for DAX queries. Sometimes you would like to have filters. For example, so year and quarter. Now let's see filters. Say query number 5. Here it is. How to report year wise, quarter wise, month wise, product sales for such customers with professional occupation. Okay, so here it is. We make use of filter. See here, year, quarter, month, comma, everywhere it's comma separated. Filter. Filter what? Filter sales amount and tax amount based on occupation. Occupation equal to professional. Observe carefully. So filter of values. This is the filter function. Filter of values, comma, after filter sales amount, tax amount, like this. This is for one condition. We can define multiple conditions. For example, number 6. Here you go. DAX query. I'll just put this way. Query number 6. DAX query with conditions on one dimension, one attribute, but multiple members. Customer dimension, English occupation, earlier one, now multiple conditions, the logical OR. This is the complete filter. Okay, the highlighted part is for the filter. Comma, sum of sales and sum of tax like this. Next. With this information, Then we have other one, condition across multiple dimensions. Number 7, condition across multiple dimensions. See here. Evaluate, then same above format, filter for customer dimension, filter for product dimension. See here. This way no limit. We can include any number of conditions. For every dimension, apply a dedicated filter. For example, you would like to have composite conditions. Query number 8. Yes, have a look at it. Evaluate year, quarter, month, occupation, product, and time. This way. With sales amount and tax amount like this. So this way no limit, we can have any number of filters. Each filter can have any number of composite conditions. This is how you work with DAX queries. So DAX queries are mainly for the purpose of reporting activities or cube access activities. In addition to these kind of DAX queries for manual writing, alternative, right click and browse. This one, right click OLAP database, browse. Right click OLAP database and browse. And drop down you select DAX. This one, drop down you select DAX. You switch. Here we can drag and drop, for example, sum of sales, sum of tax. Click to execute query, and here you see design mode. See here, click design mode. You get the resulting DAX query automatically. To execute. Back to this button. For example, I'll take year wise, quarter wise, and for example month wise. Click execute. Condition, products data, class, high class, low class, like this. Click OK and we get the data. For example, you would like to include customer and gender also. For this drag and drop analysis activity, you would like to see the DAX query. Click on the design mode. So drag and drop the DAX operations. Click on design mode, you see the DAX query. We can do edits here itself. For conditions or other values, we can do edits. So remember, evaluate, summarize columns. It's more simplified compared to MDX. So this way you'll practice MDX queries manually. Right click new query MDX, right click new query DAX, or even right click database and browse, select DAX, drag and drop and design mode. You'll practice these two different options carefully. Use me for your doubts and clarifications. Kindly make sure we practice the items on time. Do let me know if you are stuck anywhere in your practice. Glad to assist you. Just ensure you do on-time practice to continue the course in a useful way. Thank you very much. Have a nice time. Please practice on time.